What's up, single players? Doing a quick recap of Gamescom right now of Microsoft 2015. Just wrapped up moments ago. I'm Joe Scott Brown. I'm joined by Ian Jones, fellow single player. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
We're going to do a quick recap, just go through everything that currently went down from Microsoft. Ian, why don't you give me a quick kind of happy, not happy, how do you feel about the whole Gamescom thing in general?
Well, it was good mostly. We got a lot of the typical press conference schmoozing that they like to do. There was a commercial right at the beginning for something that came out today, which was really surprising.
Yeah.
Really, like
Look, I mean,
6 years ago at
we could
E3,
jump
we
in
would
right
never.
there. I mean, yeah, basically the whole rare anniversary thing. I don't know what was up with that. It's like we kind of already knew what was up
Yeah,
with that.
we know about that. It came out already. Like, there's been reviews. It's like symptomatic of where the gaming industry is. It's like
Yeah,
we're not. I mean, obviously there was a lot of new stuff coming out.
yeah, yeah.
There was a lot of trailers for new games, but there's a big push for the nostalgia factor. Like, how can we
Oh, yeah.
repackage and resell what we've already made? And that's right out the gate, Microsoft.
That is true. But to their credit, they did actually get a little bit deeper with some other stuff. So we'll jump into it. Straight after that, Quantum Break.
Right,
Finally,
new,
for the
brand
first
new.
time in a long time, we get to see that. Remedy Entertainment. I think the last time we saw Quantum Break was on, like, I think 2014 Gamescom, right?
Yeah, I think so. Or actually, yeah, because 24, the last time we saw it at E3 was 2014 too, right?
Yes, yes.
And Gamescom we saw a little bit, and then we haven't heard anything about it. So yeah, I think you're right about that.
Yeah, yeah, and then it was like kind of a cinematic trailer transition to gameplay, and it looked kind of well. It looks interesting. I'm really intrigued to see where it goes. For the most part, I think
Yeah,
we're talking about it just before we went live. I mean, it does seem to be a kind of typical cover shooter in the sense of Tomb Raider, Uncharted, and
that's the way it looks.
yeah,
I mean, and it does look good. The transition was very smooth. The graphics are eye popping and all that stuff. And one thing, like if what I'm thinking in my head is like if they really hone in and focus on all of those abilities that because there was no
yeah,
UI, there was no
yeah.
way to in like it was like a scripted demo, obviously. There was no way to tell how he was doing what he was doing. So if they focus in on those abilities, make it very fluid and fun to use them, then they could shake up the third person thing. Because as it stands, it looked like very repetitive. You have these same sort of basic enemies that keep coming at you, and
Yeah, absolutely, and it probably depend as well. Like the whole time stopping and traveling and weaving and all this wormhole stuff. It
right,
does seem a little gimmicky, but if they really do employ that in a really significant way, it could be
right.
really interesting. I think.
Right. I mean, there's been plenty of Terminator movies, and honest, like me personally, I'm sick to death
Yeah,
of all time travel plots because it just never makes any sense. But it's a
that is true.
game, and Horizon Zero Dawn makes no fucking sense either. But so like, it'll be cool. They can pull it off.
Yeah. No, I think I tweeted like as the trailer was going live, it is like Uncharted meets Life is Strange, which is like the most time
Yep.
travel reference I can get right now, even though it makes no fucking sense at
Yeah.
all. But yeah, we also got a date for Quantum Break finally, April 5th,
Hmm.
2016. So that was pretty great as
Yeah.
well. And honestly, as we'll go deeper into the rest of the games for the show, but I'm more excited for the 2016 lineup of Microsoft at this point than 2015. It's quite funny to see how many great solid games they have
Yeah.
coming out in 2016 lined up already.
Yeah, and you could kind of see that that was going to be the case even back at E3, because the games for the Xbox One and the PS4 when they both came out, they
Yep,
just weren't ready,
yep, yep.
and it was going to take a little while. But I think the time to jump in could be soon if you
Yeah,
don't already have one of those consoles because the games are coming. It's definitely clear that some of
yeah.
these
This
big
might have this might have been like the slowest build up of a console gen in a while, but you're absolutely right. We might be
you can
finally hitting
yeah
that point
they have to
because again,
readjust to
yeah,
the longer dev cycle. Like that's what studios have and publishers have come to understand is that if they're going to make these games really big and complex and really pretty at this point, 2 years isn't going to cut it. So
yes, yeah,
yeah, they're
absolutely.
really adjusting now.
And speaking of games that look pretty good visually and I guess destruction wise, Crackdown 3 followed that up.
Crackdown 3, yeah, Crackdown 3 was
Jesus Christ, buildings and explosions,
right.
basically.
Buildings and explosions and the power of the cloud for 20 times the computing power of your Xbox One. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. It's something that if they can pull it off, that's the thing. Like
Yep.
we people need to learn, and people have learned by this time that like a press conference demo and in your hands gameplay, very 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 different things.
Yep.
So we'll see if they can leverage that power and get that kind of destruction for however many players they're trying to put in the same arena. You know, they didn't mention how many are
Yep.
going to
Yep.
be walking around the city blowing it up together, but it does look very impressive. I'll be interested to see if they
Was
can.
there multiplayer in Crackdown 2?
I don't know.
I'm
I
actually
guess
I'm not too sure, but they did say there was multiplayer, and they said it in a way which kind of indicated it was like an announcement. So I don't know. I don't actually know either. So I'll assume that that means there is multiplayer for 3. And oh yeah, honestly, that's what stood out to me. The fact that they showed these buildings fucking crumbling, and I'm
Yeah.
like, Battlefield, come on, that's how you do it.
Battlefield, yeah,
But
that is
you're
the-
absolutely right. I mean, like after stuff like Watch Dogs and all these tragic, just complete
downgrade scams.
dissemination of bullshit. Yeah, it's you got to be on the prowl. But for the most part, at least from those trailers, it does look very intriguing.
Yeah.
It looks pretty crazy and pretty insane.
Yeah.
From there, sorry, man.
Oh, nothing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's all good. From there, we went to Scalebound, which Platinum, one of my all-time favorite developers, fucking
yeah.
love Platinum. Third-person action specialists, and it was great to finally see Scalebound. Well, yeah, just
Like
Scalebound in
gameplay.
general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think have we seen gameplay up to this point?
No, I
No.
honestly, I think from memory, all I recall was a 2014 Microsoft trailer at E3,
It's
and then
cinematic,
nothing.
yeah, and then nothing. And this
Complete
is the
darkness.
first time we're seeing it. I mean, I don't know if you caught this. I hope they can optimize it because that Xbox One was struggling, dude.
Oh, yes. Yep.
During
yep.
some of the more loaded sequences, yeah, it really sort of the frame rate was plummeting. But it's sort of like, damn, like look at that dragon, look at those effects, all the different post processing things that are going on. It does look like a very pretty game. More
Yeah.
importantly, it actually looks like a really fun game.
Yeah.
Because Platinum obviously has nailed the fun factor for a lot of their games. So I'm excited for that.
Absolutely, yeah, and it was great to see because as you said, like we just didn't know what it was. I mean, it was to see it, the third person action truly highlighted in this kind of trailer / demo thing.
Yeah.
Was really great, I think, and we saw the protagonist as well, the kind of headphone, like teeny bopper blonde hair guy.
Yeah, it's sort of like an asshole, but like
Yeah, like a douchebag, but that you kind of like Jamie Lannister kind of thing. It's like, what's going on?
A little more, bearable than like Sunset Overdrive or whatever it was. Like,
Oh yeah, where that game was just reference. Look at my references. Yeah, totally.
yeah. It should
But
be
yeah,
good.
and he kept like transitioning from dragon to human. Like I don't know what was going on there.
I think
It
he's
was-
got the scale arm right, so he must have some sort of special tie to the dragon,
Yeah.
and some sort of abilities that tie into that. But it was cool to see the mechanic between the dragon and the protagonist. Like you can sort of order the dragon around, and the fights are structured around your teamwork with this AI companion. So that was
Yep.
fun. It'll be interesting to see how deep they can make that system of gameplay.
Yeah, and then from there we saw a brief announcement in that trailer saying it was 4-player co-op, which again, I don't know, you take as a good and a bad thing because, everything has got to have co-op for some reason.
Yeah, if it works, there has to be
Yeah.
some sort of online component now. It's like if there isn't, your game is. It's almost like they have a problem asking you to fork over $60 if they haven't included.
Yeah, they're almost
a bunch
like they're
of
scared
games.
to an extent. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
And then there was a brief announcement after that for DVR functionality in 2016 for Xbox Ones. I'm Australia. I'm living in
Is
Australia,
it-
so
is it
that affects me
2016?
at all. So,
Yeah.
do you care about that?
No, I don't. I don't watch TV. Like I don't watch live TV. you know?
No, I mean,
So all my stuff's already DVR'd and Netflix.
you're a
did it
person
for
under
me.
the age of 30, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's great that they're doing it. I just think it'll be a fun couple of months until all live TV is canceled, and then no one will ever need it again. Yeah,
Well, yeah, that's the ideal. And then, of course, Xbox 360, all games from now on releasing on 360 are backwards compatible. So
That's
that was
pretty
kind
cool.
of a nice little link to that. And then also we got the final date for that, which is going to be coming in November for backwards compatibility. I'm super stoked for that. I
Yeah,
actually haven't
yeah.
made the plunge to Xbox One yet, but
Yeah.
if it works, like if it's not Mass Effect 1 at 10 frames per second, I'm in. But if it is that, it's going to be a little challenging.
If they can get M1 running at 60 at 1080 on the
Oh
Xbox,
yeah, yeah, that
that'd
would
be
be
cool. That'd be really
fantastic.
cool. Now, I think they mentioned this at E3, but the backwards compatibility, is it like a streaming service where they're streaming you this game,
Yeah.
or
Well, the way they explained it at E3, I believe, was the publisher has to give the okay,
right?
and then it goes. You put in the disc, and then you download a copy of it. So it's not necessarily a streaming the game, but you do once you put in
So
that
you're
disc and you
running a
download
local
it.
copy of the game on the Xbox One.
Yeah,
That's
from what I understand, you play a local copy.
Dude, that's kind of like they were saying that that was an engineering feat, and now I sort of buy it because
Yeah,
the architecture of the Xbox One is nothing like the Xbox 360. So that's
absolutely. Yeah.
actually very
Yeah,
impressive.
the way they actually got it to work, Phil Spencer, I believe, he was explaining it like after E3, where like it's just basically running the 360 OS. So to the Xbox One, it
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
actually think it's playing a game. It's
So
just
it's like
running this game called 360, and
they're
that plays
emulating
games.
it. They're
Yeah,
like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. That's cool.
yeah, and you're absolutely right. Like it was quite a big deal because I remember I think Shuhei, president of Sony, was kind of like confronted with the same thing after that conference, and he was like, no, not at the moment. We don't
Yeah,
have any plans for it.
we don't have a response. We didn't see that coming.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Then
Yeah.
from there, Killer Instinct Season 3 is coming to Xbox One as well as Windows 10. And
Mhm.
for some reason, Battletoads is in it as well. That's the thing.
You can thank 4chan for that.
Yeah. I
Like,
believe that that meme has been absolutely stabbed and killed to death in an alley. But
yep.
Battletoads, yep, it's going to be in Killer Instinct, so that's great. I haven't actually played
Yay.
Killer Instincts, but I was told on launch especially, it was pretty much the only exclusive that was worth a damn on Xbox One.
Yeah. My fighting game knowledge is there's a dearth. Like the last fighting game I was really into, I think, was like Soul Calibur 2, so that should tell you something about where I'm at.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yep, and then of course Koji Igashari, which I'm sure I said that name wrong, came on stage to show Blood Stained, or is it Blood Stained or Blood
Well,
Stained?
yeah, he showed a couple pictures of Bloodstained
Yeah,
and talked
yeah,
about
oh yeah. There was nothing really substantial, but essentially the godfather of Castlevania. So I think a lot of
right.
people were excited to see that. And what was it? They announced something specific for Xbox. It was like
Was it the new
crossplay
character? Or
or
no,
something.
yeah, crossplay. Crossplay
Crossplay.
between Xbox and Windows 10, I believe.
Yeah, so it's interesting there because I don't know what multiplayer component would enable crossplay, unless
Maybe
it just saves.
like a co-op thing because it's a 2.5D side-scrolling game.
Yeah,
So yeah, I would guess co-op, but they might be doing something else, like some sort of competitive thing.
yeah, or it could just be bare bones like save files or something. I
Save
don't know.
files or even just leaderboards, right?
Yeah.
Like yeah, something like that.
Yep, very true. And then we had the Xbox ID come into the shaker things, and it's always quite a little bit. I guess it's nice to see Microsoft and Sony, do their
Yeah.
part with the indie space, but
Extending their olive branch
yeah,
to
exactly. But it's
gamers.
always a little bit comical to see them try to give off the impression like they're these indie saviors, and like the space wouldn't exist without them. But
Yeah. I mean, the reality is that they're the corporate behemoth who never releases a game unless they're absolutely sure it's going to sell.
exactly, yeah,
So-
exactly, yeah, yeah. These are the guys that like the reasons why the survival horror genre went away, and now
Right.
it's back thanks to indie games, not because of them. But
Right.
that's
But they
okay.
do, they do sort of poke and prod into areas of the market. They're still interested in trying out new things. So
Yeah,
their interest in indie gaming is probably making the best of a bad situation, which is that
Yeah.
they rule the gaming industry, and they're just letting them in a little bit, which is nice. It's nice.
they're slowly seducing them, and of course, a lot of games that were shown that are coming to Xbox, they've already done pretty well on PC.
Mhm.
Obviously, the biggest game at the show, Train Simulator, is coming to Xbox, which
Right.
is just there's nothing really to explain about the game. You just
Train
know
Simulator.
it's going to be perfect. It's Train Simulator.
They've been at
it's-
it forever. Yeah.
It's
good.
just it's perfection in a box. So, and then from there we got City Skyline, which actually is a pretty good game. I don't know if you played it.
Yeah, that one sort of is this out of left field, just trumped Sim
Yeah.
City or whatever it was from Maxis and EA. It just came out of nowhere and was actually
Yeah,
a lot,
it's going to
a
be
lot better.
real interesting to see how that plays with controller, because I'm sure it's doable, but
It's doable, but someone's gonna have to really innovate and make sure it's it works really well.
Yep.
And yeah, we'll get to Halo Wars too, but
Oh
that's
yeah.
another problem for them.
Yeah, exactly like the original. Worms WMD was a quick trailer shown for that. I don't know what that's going to be, but
More
I guess we'll find
worms.
out. Yeah, it's more Worms. Dude, okay, I think I'm in the minority on this, but just have you played Worms games before?
I think I played like a Game Boy Worms game one time or
Okay.
something.
Dude, I used to play some shit out of Worms, and there was like a 3D version of the game that everyone universally says is crap. I actually liked it. I thought 3D Worms is not too bad. So, but I don't think this one's going to be 3D. I think it's going to be the exact same 2D
Yeah, it's going to be the
Worms.
2D kind of
Yeah.
thing with a lot of explosions.
Yeah, exactly. Then we had Ron Gilbert, the Monkey Island, one of the creators of that, show his Tumbleweed Park game, which is coming to Xbox One, as well as PC and all that, just as Xbox One on console. And Starbound's coming to Xbox One, which is kind of cool because, well, actually, I would like to see that game could be finished on PC first, but once it is, that would be nice to see it come to console.
Finished games are getting rare these days.
Yeah, well, Hitman coming out this year is a
Right.
perfect example of that. And Ark, which was like this zombie, not zombie, sorry, Jesus. It's just because everything's zombie.
Everything is zombie.
I default to that. Dinosaurs with like these like weird hunting things going on. It looks pretty interesting. I don't know.
Looks interesting. Arc is something that we have access to on the PC already through early access.
Yeah.
And we've heard a lot of good things about it. I haven't played it personally, but I've seen plenty of footage, and it does look like a really interesting take on the survival genre.
Yep.
Like Rust with dinosaurs, and magic powers and
Yeah.
guns and stuff. So yeah, like I think the console players will really enjoy it. It looks like fun.
Yep. Absolutely, I totally agree. And We Happy Few as well as coming to Xbox One.
Super creepy.
That is a creepy ass game. Every time I see it, especially that trailer. Every time I see that game, I get
that trailer. Yeah.
that trailer was so eerie. I could not even I got uncomfortable watching it. It was ridiculous.
Just the way that they cut it together and the smiling faces, it was pretty.
Oh yeah, it resonated a little bit in the wrong ways. But basically, that's coming to Xbox One, and there's also going to be a game preview for it in the holiday season, which is winter for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna be.
It's always backwards on my end. So.
Is that their preview program that they announced, where it's gonna be like their version of early access?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where it's headed. Nice.
Yep. And then from there, actually, a little bit surprisingly, to be completely honest with Microsoft, they did a little bit of PC stuff. Granted, very little,
but the Windows 10 was in there.
Exactly, but they touch base with it, which is maybe this is a future indication of a little bit more PC love. But
hopefully,
well, yeah, hopefully. Basically, they showed a DX12 demo. Nothing really too much there except it looks cool.
Which is kind of an old demo. Like that came out a couple months ago.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't new at all. Okay.
Yeah, well, not new, but it was a DX12 demo that they released a couple months ago, and it does look very impressive. The kind of power that they can leverage. The whole DX12, though, I will say very quickly that it's a little misleading.
Is it? Go ahead, man.
Yeah, like low-level APIs like Mantle and DX12, like in order for game developers to really utilize that kind of thing, the CPU load of the game has to be really high, which games are actually really increasing their CPU load, especially with the bigger open worlds and the more destructive environments.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing will become a factor. But yeah, like low-level APIs really help with high CPU overhead and just like getting rid of that because they can tap directly into, I think, the CPU and start to utilize the hardware a lot more efficiently. But it's something that we won't start to really see, I think, for a little bit, like in our games.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you're playing a game and it's not hard on your CPU or in your system at all, and you switch over to DirectX 12, the new API, you're not going to see any difference, basically. Your graphics hardware isn't going to just like accelerate, and you're not going to get
it's not going to be this huge jump that you're going to notice straight away.
Yeah, games have to be sort of developed with DirectX 12 in mind for you to see that kind of thing, which they are. They said over 100 developers are making games for it, so we will start to see some really cool things, but it's just going to take a little while.
Sure, yeah. Another interesting thing that they said in terms of, I feel like Microsoft, they're like this almost this like they're like your little toddler child that presents you with these like drawings that are supposed to be of you, and you look
what
at
I
them.
made.
Yeah, you look at them like stick figures. You're like, oh, you have to be like, oh, that's so cute. But at the end of the day, it's like what they present to PC players. It's like, this is just, what are you talking about? They
Yeah.
basically said that Xbox Live's going to be connected with Windows 10 in some way,
Right.
which is probably, I guess, fine if you have an Xbox Live account, Xbox One, and you have Windows 10. You just want to log on online Windows 10. But they basically said the thing that kind of stuck with me. They said Xbox Live's going to add value for PC players, and it's like, well, wouldn't we have to pay for it and like still and get involved if we want all the bonuses of Windows 10 and stuff
Yeah,
like that?
if it's
Really
not a
strange.
new extra subscription that you have to do, if it's just like you have Xbox Live so it works on both of your platforms, sure, fine.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I don't have an Xbox One, so not I mean won't use it yet,
Yeah.
but maybe someday. The one cool thing that is really interesting that I wasn't expecting was the built-in sort of like their response to the shadow play thing from Nvidia. They're
Yeah, sure, yeah.
gonna be able to DVR your games just using Windows 10, which is pretty cool. Which is actually really cool. And if you can do that while you're streaming your Xbox One games, it might be convenient for some people. So there will be some things, but if you have to pay extra for it, then yeah,
If you have to have gold, it'll be, yeah, I don't know. This idea that you're adding value, well, you're adding value for yourself, not for consumers. That's a bit strange.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a weird phrase in my opinion. But you'll be absolutely right. If it's just a case of, oh, you have gold on console, you get these like, you get your friends list on PC. Okay, cool. I guess that's
Yeah.
like another version of Skype or something. And then the Minecraft co-creator, I think his name's like Jan or something. I always get it wrong. He has a Swedish name, so it's probably
Yeah,
something
he's
Swedish.
the guys over at Mojang or
Yeah, they announced a new game, Cobalt, and there was no mention of it
Xbox
coming to
exclusive?
PC. From what
No,
I
yeah.
could,
I think they said it was an Xbox exclusive.
yeah, and it was like a side scroller co-op thing, and they introduced it as that, basically a way of doing couch co-op, almost like a bit of a classic style shoot 'em up in that sense.
Yeah, it looked a little like time shifty, metal sluggy,
Yes, yeah,
because
yeah,
they
for
were
sure.
slowing things down and just but very sort of yeah, the shoot 'em up side scroller vibe was there. Looks fun. Probably won't play it until I get an Xbox.
Yes, yeah, probably. But it is interesting to see Microsoft, I guess, finally utilizing that studio exclusively to an extent. The fact that they got Minecraft now for so much money a while ago, they've
Yeah,
only really
it's a lot.
used it for Windows 10, and even the next version of Minecraft. Wait, it's the Windows 10 for Xbox One, and yeah, so they're only really using it for that exclusive version of Minecraft,
Right.
which is kind of a big deal because a lot of younger audiences that love that game will get an Xbox One and will get Windows 10 just for it.
Right.
But simultaneously, it is nice to see them maybe getting something out of that talented studio that isn't just Minecraft, which we all
Right.
are familiar with at this point.
Right.
We saw another trailer for Dark Souls 3, that's an Xbox One exclusive now, isn't it?
No, I don't. I think it's probably has like a timed exclusivity thing.
Oh,
where, like
okay.
it'll come out on Xbox first, maybe. But I think.
Oh, yeah,
that's-
no, it's coming to PC, for sure.
Yeah, it's coming to PC.
I just meant not PlayStation.
It's not coming to PlayStation.
I'm not sure. Did Dark Souls 2 come to PlayStation?
Oh, yeah, Dark Souls started on PlayStation. Demon Souls was like a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
And then Dark Souls eventually, I think, made it over to the Xbox 360 and then the PC. But yeah, that From has always been a Sony first kind of developer, I think.
Yeah, well, it's weird. Just that I think I don't know if I'm not going to stand by that because I'm not entirely sure, but it's just because like the Dark Souls marketing has been so heavily Microsoft.
Yeah,
So that's why
yeah.
I think
They
that's why
really
it's in
got
my
behind
head
it.
that it's either a timed or an actual exclusive, like a Rise of the Tomb Raider, like their weird time deal that they got.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, but then again, the trailer wasn't that huge. It wasn't anything too.
Well, we
substantial.
know this by now. Like we know what it looks
Yeah,
like.
we know what Dark Souls is exactly.
Yeah. More of it.
And if it is exclusive, PlayStation, you got Bloodborne, so it's not real too much
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
disappointed at there. Homefront: The Revolution trailer, we saw that, the cinematic one there.
I was excited to see that actually.
Yeah?
I remember playing the original Homefront, getting about like an hour and a half in it, and then just uninstalling.
Exact same boat.
So I was so
Oh
frustrated.
god,
with
it was just
It was
so typical.
So bad.
Oh god.
Well, not only it was just broken, but I enjoyed the premise because I was like, okay, North Korea taking over the states. Like we have this sort of grassroots rise up movement going on. So yeah, like if they can make it fun and not broken,
An enjoyable game?
an
What?
enjoyable game. What? Yeah,
Yeah.
no. I'm excited, and there are elements there that could really be like a major pull for people like us single players who are really interested in the narrative aspects of these games.
Yep.
Could really be a gut wrenching kind of experience.
Yeah, no, yeah, there's definitely a lot of room there, and it's like that's actually a really nice, interesting what if story. Just like how Wolfenstein does the whole if the Nazis won the war, like that's such a
Yeah.
great premise to just like kick things off from, and it's just a matter of really developing that in a meaningful way, which is the problem that I think Call of Duty and Battlefield run into when they just kind of resort to
Oh no,
USA,
the
USA.
Russians!
Yeah, yeah,
Like
pretty
or the
much.
Chinese or whatever threat they can think
Yeah,
of.
yeah, exactly. But if
Yeah.
you're starting from this grassroots, as you said, revolution standpoint, there's a lot you can do there, I think, in terms of the actual human side of things, which is what
Right.
these military things need to address.
I mean,
And of
yeah, like
course, oh,
Exhibit
sorry, yeah, go
A,
ahead.
Half-Life 2. The revolution thing kind of works for first-person shooters, especially when you're trying to tie in that human side, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, there's co-op. They announced that there's going to be co-op for the game.
Why wouldn't there be co-op?
Why wouldn't there be co-op? Are you serious? There's going to be
You
co-op.
gotta, you gotta, revolt with your buddies.
Revolting is always funner with friends. An exclusive early access beta coming first to Xbox One, which is obviously why now it was shown there. In winter for you guys and summer if you're in the eastern side of things. And then FIFA was shown. Yeah.
FIFA,
And listen,
always
look, I have
good,
not
always
much to
good.
say about FIFA besides that they played some shitty, weird background music the entire time they were on stage, and it made no sense. I don't know what was going on.
They couldn't find the track that they were originally going to use, so they had to go for some open access stuff.
Yeah, it was just like some weird like presentation music, like dun, dun, like elevator style. Like I'm like, what is happening? Like I don't what. It was just weird. I don't know. I don't know. But we can gloss over that for the most part because it wasn't like they announced any like it's not like FIFA has guns now or something random. So
No, FIFA doesn't have guns. FIFA has women for the first
oh
time.
yes, actually that's a great point.
Right.
I didn't even write that down because it's just like the fact that they tried to make it an announcement was a little bit facetious, I think. But it's like the idea that matters at all. Like okay, cool, you should have had that to begin with. Like
Right. Yeah.
okay,
They didn't have the resources for it.
yeah, exactly right.
Uh,
And then from there, Halo 5, well, the first time we saw Halo, came up, Halo 5 Guardians. It was a kind of esports type deal where they showed like a match and they also revealed a map Coliseum for the
Right.
arena mode. What do you
Right.
think about Halo 5 in general, Ian?
well, I've always been a big Halo fan, but I'm in the minority of Halo fans that I really go in for the campaign for those
Sure.
games.
Yep.
The last time I was really super into the multiplayer was Halo 2. I thought that was really good. Halo
Man,
3
what? You didn't do Halo 3 multiplayer?
I did do Halo 3 multiplayer.
That was like, dude, that was
The
my
only-
like not golden years.
Those were golden years. The only problem is I didn't have a 360 and I played it at friends' houses. I had
Oh,
access
sure.
to Halo 2, and that was where I spent my time. But yeah, I have all the Halo games pretty much, and I've always really enjoyed the campaigns that they put together. So it'll be interesting to see what 343 does there. Speaking of the multiplayer though, it does look good. Like it does look like they're really shaking things up,
Yep.
making it sort of like a different thing now, which is fine. I mean, it needs to change. It's 2015, so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, no, that's a really nice point you just kind of ended on. I totally agree. I've been a part of Halo multiplayer since the beginning, Halo 1, playing on my PC and all that, and
Mhm.
it's been really interesting to see that game kind of evolve and take different strides in all these really radical ways, especially with 4, how we saw it just go absolutely insane and changing up the multiplayer in a really kind of in a really radical way, but I believe not for the best. Like the idea
No,
that
yeah,
they,
I think
yeah,
you're right. It
they took
wasn't for the
weapons
best.
off maps and they made weapons random, and it really broke the like strategy of the maps and all that. And that
Well, the
was
strategy they went the sort of the Call of Duty route, where the strategy
Yep.
was how can you manipulate your loadout to give you an edge. And I am happy to see them return to map control and like
Yep, yep.
total balance. Like nobody has an edge going in. It's how you dominate the environment and
Yeah,
like
everyone's on
position
an equal
yourself.
playing field, so
Yeah.
it's about actually playing the game while you're playing it. Not, as you
Yeah.
said, this whole idea of, well, I
The
looked up
meta,
a
like,
strategy online for my build, and it's just going to give
yeah.
me an advantage. Yeah.
There's a loophole here that I can take advantage of,
Yeah, exactly.
basically.
And the idea that anyone's going to start with an assault rifle over a battle rifle, like, are you out of your mind? Like, Jesus
No,
Christ.
of course not. Why would they?
It's
Like Halo's
ridiculous.
weapons have never been the most balanced. That's why it's been about map control from the beginning. Like find the best weapons, dude.
No, precisely. And it'll be interesting to see, as you said with Halo 5, it's just so I guess, yeah, some would say evolved to the point of a modern multiplayer shooter.
Some would say combat evolved.
Oh wow. That's terrible.
Sorry.
That's fine. I was thinking before, so that makes up for it. But yeah, it's just like with the thrusters and the sprinting being intrinsic now. There's a lot really different, and it's going to be interesting to see how that actually plays. But as you said, I think at least from an esports kind of viewer perspective, it looks really interesting. And the fact that they've just sped up the pace, I don't think necessarily is going to compromise the integrity of everything. If you get what I mean.
No, yeah, as long as the pillars of the experience are there, like in terms of balancing everything out and making it about skill, esports, you have a chance. You have at least a chance. The depth of the game is the only thing that I question. I'm big into esports. I watch League of Legends primarily.
Yep.
That's a lot of fun. So we'll see how Halo 5 does in that arena.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if console shooters can really make a comeback. I know the Call of Duty scene's reasonably big, but it's still, is easily trumped by CS:GO. So it'll be nice to see the console, maybe FPS scene, maybe make a bit of a comeback there, because Halo essentially was the first real esport in a lot of ways to
Yeah,
get things going in the MLG days, like back in the 2000s. So
yeah,
yeah,
MLG, that was yeah.
yeah. What's that thing? Jesus. And then also we got a quick glimpse at the exclusive Halo console, which is going to be 1 TB and a nice little custom design for you there. Still
Right.
probably doesn't look better than the Metal Gear one, unfortunately, so that's a shame. But
Yeah.
it looks good. It looks
It'll
good enough.
move some units for him.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. And then and they also announced the Halo tournament, which is going to be $1 million. Which it was weird to me that they said this is going to be the first ever Halo tournament that they've run, because they've run a bunch.
Yeah, they've found some.
Yeah,
Maybe it's
I assume they meant for Halo 5.
the Halo 5 or the first in whatever capacity they're actually doing it. Maybe this is the first one that 343 is taking an active interest in. I don't know, but
Could be, yep.
the prize pool is pretty substantial. It's you're not up at that MOBA level or CS:GO level, but you're getting there.
Yeah, and it'll be. I'm more interested in the next tournament, because this first one's very clearly a marketing kind of thing.
Right.
But if it does really successfully, they're like, oh my god, actually we can just run and make money and like continue to grow this game off the tournaments. That'd be really great, and I think Halo will thrive off that. So it'll be really interesting to see if they do it again. And then from there we have Just Cause 3 shown at the conference again. It's a bit weird because it's not exclusive or anything, but the fact that we saw it there, man, I'm all about Just Cause.
I just
it's
like
so
seeing
great.
more of it because it's like, is it gonna be bad? Probably not. It
Yeah.
looked like it's Just Cause. They really nailed the chaotic fun aspect of it with
Oh,
Just
yep.
Cause 2. So adding more and the new grapple mechanic, and I will say this, I really did not expect the little intro with the dictator sort of like they're totally embracing how silly they are.
Yes,
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
and that was really fun. I'm
Yeah,
excited about that
to
game.
to pretty much continue there, like the fact that trailer was constructed in the way that it was, with literally him just doing the craziest shit, flying through the air, like soaring through buildings that are just exploding and crumbling around him. Like they so
Yeah.
clearly understand why Just Cause 2 was great. Like I didn't boot it up every 6 months to play the story. I did it because I was bored as shit and I wanted to just sling around and cause some mayhem.
Yeah.
That was the awesome part.
Yeah, it was wonderful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then from there to kind of move from another a nice little climactic moment to something kind of reasonably dull. Forza 6 was of course shown again. I appreciate Microsoft not spending too much time on these games, because obviously they are important to the brand, but I don't know. Do you care much about Forza?
I think more than in any other like area of the gaming industry, and this is something that could be debated for a long time, but I think racing is probably like the most incremental of of genres, if you know what I mean. Like
What do
when
you
it
mean, like that it barely evolves?
kind of, yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit. Like every time it comes out, it's like a little bit more pretty, a little bit
yeah,
more
yeah.
realistic, and
I
they
mean,
just keep.
dude, the thing that they had to advertise because they had nothing was the fact that there was going to be rain on the roads. Like,
Well, and the physics
okay,
behind all the different platforms is impressive. That was something that Project Cars was really adamant in their marketing about. They were
yep,
so focused on realistically recreating different surfaces and tensions and how that stuff affects the cars, which is great. The simulation aspect of it is really really cool. Um, but now that I think of it, maybe we can lump sports and racing together there. There's just year over year, like what really changes for both of those things in the real world. So the games that come out have to sort of try to try to do something new, and
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
the tech is better, it's going to look prettier, and you're probably going to have a little bit more fun doing it. But if you just sort of re up every year, there's no reason to stop. 4 to 6 is going to
Absolutely.
be just it's going to be right for you.
Yeah, and then it still sells a bajillion copies. So clearly, it has a market there that
Mhm.
people are interested. So, but I
Huge
totally
fan
agree.
base.
I'm totally on your fence. So, from there, we actually got to see Rainbow Six Siege, which actually does look pretty great. I'm pretty excited for that.
Barely any Rainbow Six Siege, but we have seen a lot of it before.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Uh,
we did get a big chunk of it at E3.
and they got those German police badges in there to sort of shout out to where they were and who they were actually talking to, which was fun. Um, but yeah, I've been excited for Rainbow Six Siege. I'm still excited for it. Looks like a really fun time.
Absolutely, yep. And then Rise of the Tomb Raider, wrapping it up there. I think, and I would like to hear your thoughts on this because this is kind of how I felt towards the end of the conference, at least. And it was basically like, we kicked it off with Scalebound, Quantum Break, all these games that are actually really interesting. And it's not that I'm not excited for Rise of the Tomb Raider or I don't care about it. It's just that it was definitely I feel like it peaked at the start because all these games that are coming in 2016 are really vibrant, interesting, and novel. Whereas
Right.
Rise of the Tomb Raider really does look like Tomb Raider
Hmm.
1.5, and that's okay. And I'm going to play it anyway. But
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
Well, the one thing that was going through my mind while I was watching the trailer was like, okay, I remember the E3 trailers and other press conference trailers for Tomb Raider back when they rebooted the thing,
Yep.
and everyone was really afraid that it was just going to be a montage of really pretty QuickTime events and and like shitty third person combat, third person cover combat and all that stuff. And I think this, if we hadn't had the original Tomb Raider game, the reboot, we could probably be having the same fears about the demo they just showed us. Um, but that being said, Tomb Raider turned out to be a great game. So um, I think you're right that the 1.5 claim is totally justifiable. But I
Yep.
think if they keep to the standard that they set with the first game and even exceed it slightly, we're going to be looking at a quality, first party or third party exclusive or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The timed exclusivity there for
It's not going
Xbox.
to reinvent itself, but it'll be a top notch game.
For sure. Yep. And it's coming out November 13th. There, and before we leave you, there was one final little tiny announcement that was shown that turned out to be a pretty big
Real
deal.
showstopper, yeah.
Yeah, Halo Wars 2 was revealed, and just the idea of that, I probably would have scoffed at if anyone even mentioned in their predictions that Microsoft would reboot a game from
Yeah.
2009 that
I didn't
commercially did quite bad. It didn't really do
I didn't
well at
think they
all.
would ever come back with that.
Yeah.
So I was genuinely surprised. As soon as you, I mean, in our chat, as soon as you put in Forward Unto Dawn 2, I was like, that's more likely.
Yeah. I
And
was
then Halo
expecting it would
Wars
be
2
some
came
silly
out.
shit like that. I honestly would.
Yeah, yeah, but no,
Because yeah, oh man.
it's cool. I mean, Halo Wars was it was that offshoot that the RTS elements weren't the strongest. Obviously, it was on
Yes,
a
yeah.
console,
With
which
analog sticks.
analog sticks, yeah,
Yeah.
analog sticks and RTS. I mean, if you've ever, I don't know if you why you would, but there was this terrible little port of Roller Coaster Tycoon for the Xbox. They put it on the Xbox and made you use analog sticks to control that game. Oh, it was awful. But like, that's the kind of thing that really got to me with Halo Wars. But what was so great about it was, those cinematics, all the story elements that they put into it that really fleshed out like the Halo lore for people.
Yep.
So, if anything, I'm really excited to see more of that. like in on the next gen with the fancier cutscenes and all that stuff. That little demo they showed was like, ah man, more Halo storytelling, which
It,
is
yeah, especially if you're really in for the story. I thought the Halo story was reasonably good, and as you said, the cinematics were. I mean, the fact that the Spartan, the one where the I can't remember his name obviously, so maybe that does undermine my point a little. But the guy that one of the bald guy that dies, that whole scene with the Spartans fighting those elites was like fucking superb, and I still remember that,
yeah.
and I still watch it from time to time because I'm just like, that was like, as a Halo fan back in the day, that was like so cool to see that realized so realistically with the Arbiter and shit just tearing shit up. It was so
It's
awesome.
excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, and
They've always
and I also played a bunch of Halo Wars. Like, I totally agree. If it was on PC with a mouse,
just
Jesus,
a mouse would have made
would have
that
been so much better. But I still played a bunch of the multiplayer, and Creative Assembly are actually handling Halo Wars 2,
Right.
which are the guys that do Total War. So it's like,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is almost a perfect storm for a lot of ways on Microsoft, but it's just really strange. I want to be in that meeting where the guy puts his hand up and he's like, "What do we think about Halo Wars 2?" Yeah,
You can
because
see him in the little comic where he just gets thrown out the window.
It's gets thrown out. It's just like, are you kidding me? But it's like, no, they're doing it, and I think it's a really ballsy move. I think it's like businessly, maybe in a business sense, not the smartest, but I'm down because I love the shit out of Halo Wars, so that's really great.
I think it'll be fun.
Cool. All right. So, Ian, thank you for joining me for this discussion. Guys, if you enjoyed it, we're going to be doing probably a few more other discussions in terms of Gamescom, so stay tuned to the channel. Give it the video a like down below and subscribe for us, and we really appreciate that. But that's it for today. Ian, thank you for joining me,
Thank you.
and we'll see you next time.